Welcome to On Cue here at Joffrey Ballet. My name is Adam Blyde. I'm a rehearsal director with the company here in Chicago. And today I am joined by Linda Swayze, our Director of Community Engagement. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Adam.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. I'm so happy to have you with us.
I am happy to be with you.
So we kind of did these informal chats through the summer. Everyone was at home. Obviously, it's been a long few months of being at home. So we did these informal chats to help our audiences see different people in the organization and see what they do. So we thought we would continue to do that. Even though we're now back in the building, we thought we would continue with that. So you're the Director of Community Engagement. Huge position, and you're so great at what you do. But can we go back to when you were learning to dance and your whole career as a dancer? Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and how it all started?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it started when I was a young girl, and I remember being in the house and listening to, I'm going to date myself, there was this Maxwell House coffee and a commercial, and every time there was this percolation type of music, and on the percolation music, I would dance.
That's so
and
funny.
So my mother she had an artistic streak in her.
Okay.
But because of the time that she was raised in, she wasn't able to pursue that. So she had enough forethought to put me in dance class. So I started taking dance class, in particular ballet class. I took other things, but I had a proclivity. I just loved ballet.
Right from the get-go?
Right from the get-go, I was like a bunhead.
Wow.
Even before I realized I was a bunhead. But yeah, I loved ballet. I loved the fact of it being on point and how graceful it was. And so my mother put me in ballet classes. And so I got ribbed a lot because here I am from the south side of Chicago, of Chicago. So black girls just didn't do ballet. They did gymnastics, they did tap, but they didn't do no ballet. So, but that's what I really enjoyed. That's what I was just drawn to.
Did you let it bother you? You were just like, I like it, that's it, I'm doing it.
You know what? That was the one thing that I can really say that I was really tunnel focused about.
Right.
Because I really got ribbed, especially in my high school years when you're going out with boys and you're going out to parties, and I'm thinking about my next rehearsal.
Right.
And so that was just how single-minded I was about that. And I grew up with some fabulous teachers. One was named Bentley Stone and Walter Cameron. Both of them are now deceased. And they had a studio on 185 West Madison Street, right, maybe about 6 blocks from here. And I was the only black girl at that time in the school. And those two teachers I remember, and that's why I love teaching so much, is because they were very impactful for me. And they really honed my skill, and they saw something in me. But they were very realistic because they knew, as me being a black dancer, that there wasn't a lot of opportunities. So Bentley Stone at that time knew Arthur Mitchell, and Arthur Mitchell was the founder of the Dance Theater of Harlem. And the Dance Theater of Harlem came to Chicago. They were performing at the Auditorium Theater. And Bentley Stone gave me a letter to go down to the Auditorium Theater to take company class. That was my introduction. And I'll never forget that because those two teachers really started the ball for me because they had confidence in me, and they saw a gifting inside of me that they felt that should be honed and had a place for me in ballet. And so
do you remember a moment when you felt that too? Do you remember thinking, actually, this isn't just a hobby, this is something more than that I could go somewhere?
Well, you know what, that's interesting that you should say that. It didn't really click for me until I saw that first performance at the Auditorium Theater with the Dance Theater of Harlem. And I know specifically what they were doing. They were doing 4 temperaments. And I remember Adam sitting in the Auditorium Theater in the seat. I was in the dress circle.
Yeah.
And the curtain goes up, and those 2 beautiful black dancers in the tights, the brown shoes, the brown tights, I immediately knew that that was what I wanted to do, immediately. And so that is the strength of visualization, because I actually saw myself in that environment. And from that day on, I had the audition the next day, and Arthur Mitchell, in his Arthur Mitchell-esque way, said, well, yeah, I could use you, so, but that's
Like,
all
I'll
I
take it.
needed, right?
Yeah.
That was all
I'll
that I
take it.
needed. I was like, yes, here I come, New York City. So, yeah, that started the whole pathway, and the rest is history.
Yeah, because you had a long and extensive career with Dance Theatre of Harlem.
I did, 16 years, yeah.
Did you ever envision that? Did you think, I'll do this for a few years and see what happens, or I
Not-
am not giving up ever?
Not in the slightest. I mean, for me, it opened up such a big world.
Yeah.
That a little girl from the South Side had never envisioned. I mean, just the very fact of going to New York. But as I reflect back, I was very adventurous, because when you're single-minded about something, you don't think of all the other things that could possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
You just think about something that you want to do and that you love. And I'll never forget the first time going to New York. I was introduced to a walk-up. And so it was 5 flights. And I'm like, well, where's the elevator?
Yeah.
And so had to walk up 5 flights with my suitcase. And I shared at that time, it was 7 of us.
Oh, my word.
It was 7 of us in it was a studio apartment, just laying on the floor. Let me tell you, it was the best time of my life.
I bet.
It was the best time of my life. Right on the west side of west side of New York. And it was really a great time for me, a great developing time for me.
Yeah, and I guess it's super exciting, things like that, when you move city and you're with new people, but when you're focused as well on the work, that's still what is driving you forward.
Absolutely.
You, what are your highlights of the time there? I mean, that's a long career in one company of so much repertoire that you do.
Oh,
so for Temperaments, did that come back around at some point?
Oh,
or?
many times.
Yeah.
Many times. And I remember starting for Temperaments with the Grand Bama Girl, and loved it. But I actually saw myself doing third thing.
Nice.
And I got a chance to do it quite a few times, actually.
Yeah.
But during the time that I was at Dance Theatre Harlem. But yeah, there were many high points. The very fact that I was actually able to travel around the world, because at that time, and I didn't realize it at that time, but we were making history. I mean, the very fact that it was a black ballet company and featuring classics. I mean, we were doing Giselle, we were doing Swan Lake, we were doing Paquita, we were doing Concerto Barocco.
Yeah.
I mean, so that, we didn't even think about it at that particular time. All we knew was that we were dancing.
Yeah.
And the very fact that, dancing every night. So it was really such a great experience, and the traveling was just amazing. That was just the cherry on top of the ice cream, because I wasn't even expecting that. And I remember the first time that I went to London, and he called, I was the company manager at the time, he called my name, and I kind of looked around. I'm like, that's me. And I remember calling my mother, and it's like, Mom, I'm going to London.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but that was one of many trips. So it was just a very impactful time in my life. And just the very fact that not only we were dancing, that we were making history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was not some amateur show happening in random places. Major work, major dancing. What did your family think when they were like, she's going to New York to join a company? What? Were they just couldn't believe it?
My mom could,
Yeah.
because my mom was really my support system. But I'm going to tell you about what happened with my dad. My dad was like, I had to lie. I had to tell him that I was going to school
I bet.
in New York, because he was not artistic inclined at all. He was all about get the education, get the education, get the education. And my mother, because she had an artistic proclivity in her, she saw, I think, vicariously in me
Yeah.
being able to live out her dream.
And she knew you could, that you could
And
have a
she
career
knew that
doing
I
that.
could. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I had mixed reviews. I couldn't tell my dad, but
Yeah.
my mom was like, yeah, go
Thank
for it,
God
girl.
for that, though, because you need like just one person to help see it. Because a lot of people, I mean, hopefully things are easier now, but a lot of parents don't see that. They're like, that's not a career choice. That's not secure. And, you know, even now, people think the arts is not. Why would you do that? It's like, and it's more essential than ever.
Absolutely, absolutely,
So it's key to have someone behind you who's just like, go for it.
absolutely.
You can
for
go back to
sure.
school later.
Right.
Which, did you?
I did.
You did?
I did. I went back to school, and it was after I had been here at Joffrey for a while, and I thought that I wanted to go back to school. It was more for me at that time, personal development.
Right.
Because to be perfectly honest with you, Adam, I was horrible in school. I was really not good at school at all. Because I wanted to be a bunhead. I was a
Yeah.
bunhead. I wanted to dance.
Yeah, why do I need to be here?
Why, this is a waste of time. I'm not going to use this.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I remember very clearly in school, I had Spanish. And I distinctly remember saying to myself, well, why am I in this Spanish class? I ain't going to ever use no Spanish. Little did I know that I would go to Spain 4 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I wished I had paid attention. You know, so, but yeah, I went back to school.
Was this right after? So did you just stop dancing after Dancing Theatre of Harlem? You retired and
I
moved
did.
back.
I stopped dancing and I raised 2 kids.
Oh, that
I had some
happened.
babies.
Right.
And had some babies, got married, got divorced. And so, and all during that time, I was here at Joffrey.
Okay.
And so that was kind of a solace for me because I was actually teaching. And at one time I thought I didn't want to teach because I have to be honest, I was really kind of one of those snooty kind of people like, oh, teach? Oh no, I dance. I can't teach, you know. So, but it was a stage that I went through because once I found out, because I was in this really dead end job that I hated,
Right.
and Pierre Lockett at the time, who was the community engagement director, had sought me out and said, "Do you want to teach?" And I was like, "Teach?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not?" You know. And so, I kid you not, Adam, I would be exhausted at work. Then when it came time for me to teach, I was like, I come alive.
Yeah.
And so I started to really reflect on that, and I was like, this is probably what I really need to be doing at this time. So I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to teach, and so that allowed me, when I came to Joffrey, to be able to not only teach, but I was able to put my children in classes, in the Strobel class, and that way I was able to watch them and I was still able to teach. And they were getting some, you know, I knew exactly where they were, a safe environment as a single mom. So it worked a dual fold for me. So, but yeah, and then eventually as my children matriculated through the Strobel program, I had decided that I really wanted to go back to school, again, for personal development. Nothing in particular, but just that I wanted to do more with my life, give more breath to who I was.
Yeah.
And so went to school, and I was like, I like school. I like this. Why didn't I like it back then? But you know, it's a matter of, because of life, life will teach you certain things. And so it was really good, and I really enjoyed going to school. And there was a couple of projects that I had that I got a chance to interview Greg, and that was fun. That was really a lot of fun. So got some insight about him. But yeah, it was really just that particular time in my life for me to pursue post-education.
Yeah. And you could fit that in, still doing what you were doing here at Joffrey.
Absolutely. I was able to fit that in. So after I finished teaching, And I would come to Joffrey on either Saturday or Sunday
Right.
because I would use their computer and the printer, and I would do my schoolwork.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it really worked out for me. I had a very supportive staff, and so it was really great.
How long have you been part of the community engagement department now then?
Let's see. I came aboard, I believe it was in 2008,
Okay.
2008, as a teaching artist. And then from a teaching artist to program supervisor, and then program supervisor to director. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, congratulations. That happened not so long ago,
Yeah,
right? It's a
not too
handful of
long
months
ago.
ago. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so great. So now, like, you fully embraced your position of teaching and what you can provide for children, access to the arts and what they do. What is the goal as you press forward now in this position as the director of community engagement, especially, I mean, with what's happened this year of the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement? There's a lot that's happening, and that kind of feeds into the creativity of these kids. How do you see things going forward?
Absolutely, and that's a really excellent question because, like everybody else, we had to pivot from the in-school to virtual. And to give out a shout out to Joffrey, I have to say that we pivoted very quickly, and that really has a lot to do with the leadership team. So, in answering your question, because of the nature of the CE team, they're really great, not only people, but great artists. And so everybody was pretty much on board and brainstormed as to how we were going to pivot. And so we did, during the time at the very beginning in March, what we did is we started doing pre-recorded videos. And so these pre-recorded videos were targeted for schools because we still wanted to access the students.
And provide.
Exactly, and we didn't know exactly how it was going to work, which really is wonderful in the sense that it was a trial and error kind of thing.
Yeah.
So as with everything else, it was a trial and error.
Yeah.
So we found out the pre-recorded videos worked to a degree, and so that's what we started putting out. We were putting out pre-recorded videos of all of our signature programs, which is the bridge and our dance exploration, and so therefore the students were still getting some arts enrichment.
Yeah.
However, we still had to pivot again because we had these pre-recorded, but we weren't virtual. So then we started doing virtual programs, and how that happened was in the summer, we were like, okay, we had the bridge program, but we weren't able to do the bridge program, just like so many other places because of the pandemic. And we were like, okay, so how are we going to get these students engaged? And so we had this summer program, and we did it in our homes.
Yeah.
And I was really not sure how that was going to be received, because normally in the bridge program, for the summer, we have at least 40 students. So we were like, and it's usually 4 hours a day. So we're like, we can't keep the kids for 4 hours a day. That's not going to happen. So we did 2 hours. And we found even 2 hours was a lot. But how we did it was we did 1 hour of teaching, and then we did another hour of just like free dance, creative movement kind of thing. And it was actually 25 students that signed up, and 25 students that actually showed up for 2 weeks.
That's great.
So yeah, I was really surprised and really happy about that. So that was kind of the pilot program for us to go into Chicago Public Schools, because that way we knew what would work.
Yeah.
And so that was from the creativity of the CE staff. And I really am a firm believer that the more you can bring other voices into the conversation, that opens up how much you can do.
Yeah, the possibilities.
Possibilities, absolutely. So we still wanted to give the high quality arts
Yeah.
education that we are noted for doing, and we were able to do that. And then to pivot from the bridge program, we had the high school students for After School Matters. And so that we had to pivot to that virtual platform, and still we had choreographers come in from different companies like Pablo from Memphis came and taught the students. So it gave us a platform to actually figure out what worked, what didn't work. And so, not to say that we didn't have along the way things that just totally flopped. To be like,
Yeah.
okay, that did not work. That was a colossal failure. Let's try this way.
But it's true. You're like thinking on your feet. And It's like,
Absolutely.
let's go for it. And tomorrow we won't do that again if that's what the problem was.
So many times, but that's what makes things successful, and I think that's what makes Joffrey, or any arts organization for that matter, not to be afraid to take risk.
Yeah.
And to say, okay guys, that didn't work, let's try this. And so that's basically how it was for us.
Yeah.
So, and then another thing that we really did to, not to say, okay, we are the be-all of how we feel students should be learning dance.
Right.
What we did is we did a jot form to our Chicago Public School teachers and asked, what is it that you want? What
Yeah.
do you see? So that way we're not just coming in as the person who knows all about
Yeah.
arts education.
Delivering something that might not have
That
any
might not
relevance.
fit.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we did a jot form to find out what did our audience want. And so we figured, they told us, we want more virtual program, because we thought that it was going to be all pre-recorded videos that they would want, but it turned out that they wanted more virtual programming. So, and we were able to step right into that void because we had piloted
it.
during the summer. So we felt confident in what we had to offer, and confident in even what they told us what they needed, that we were able to supply that. And I feel that that's so very important, that you listen to your constituents, and CPS is part of our
Yeah.
constituents. So so that's one of the ways that we pivoted, and also how we envisioned ourselves as to how we can better serve the community
Yeah.
at large. So,
Yeah, especially with us not knowing what the future really holds, that being adaptable is key, and not being afraid to say, mistake, let's try something different.
Definitely.
With it's been such a crazy year, but with the Black Lives Matter movement and the racial injustice, what hopes do you have going forward now? I was so moved by watching the kids online creating work, speaking to what they were feeling.
Yeah.
How does this make you feel now when you think back to yourself being a young dancer, of looking for representation, and you pushed through and you worked and you got what you deserved, but that's not always the case. So
You're right.
hopefully now it's a different time. How do you feel about that going forward?
First of all, I think that's an excellent question. And secondly, I really feel very fortunate to be part of this time, because I really feel that the generation coming up has given a lot of voice
Yeah.
to what I wasn't able to say and articulate when I was coming up. And so moving forward, I really feel that on the trajectory of still having more African Americans in the field of ballet, and having not only African Americans but people of color being able to be in the dance world.
Yeah.
So we are now in this place where we will never go back. It will always go forward. And I remember having conversations with people, and they would say something like, well, you know, that's that thing, that's dance, or that's science, and that politics should not interfere with dance or science or math, but that's not where we live now.
No, and this year has shown that more than ever.
Absolutely. It has gone across all barriers. And so I feel very proud to be able to be part of that. I am very proud to be able to give students voice to
Yeah.
that, which I did not have that opportunity. So it's a very exciting time because again, the possibilities and the very fact of being able to learn, because you can grow so much. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not technology savvy, but the kids that I come up with, I mean, some of the things that they do, and they're like, Miss Linda, let me help you with this, and be able to learn from them is wonderful. But the very fact that we are living in this type of environment and that they are so socially aware, it is very comforting and very good to hear and see and be part of it and witness it, because again, Adam, it's never going to be the same. We have changed, we have turned the corner. That paradigm has shifted, and so now you'll see more people of color in all genres. And not to say I'm a bunhead, but I personally love to see people of color in any kind of art form. And so the very fact that we are living in these days and times is so very exciting, because I know as an ex-dancer, seeing so many people that were not able to do ballet because of, quote unquote, the way they looked, maybe the body size. But now we're in an age where it's so open, where if you have the talent and you have the desire, that there is a platform for you. So this is an exciting time. And so, I'm just really happy to be part of it. And I feel myself incredibly, incredibly lucky. And I don't even like to use the word luck. Fortunate. I feel very, very fortunate to be part of that movement.
I agree. It was for such difficult moments, really hard times to see. I was so inspired watching the CTA interns present their thing. I was like, and I think that's key. It's providing a platform for them. And what I love about it is they're kind of fearless.
Yeah.
They grab it with both hands and they're like, this is the time for us to say, whether it's using words or our bodies or music or filming, whatever we need to do, this is our time to speak up.
To speak up.
And we will not be quiet about it. So
absolutely.
It was inspiring to see. And it must be so nice for you to be part of that, to watch them flying.
Yes, to watch them grow and not have the same obstacles that I might have had. But they have different challenges, but not the ones that I had to fight. Yes, so that is so very encouraging. And I'm really glad that you mentioned the CTA project, because that was one of our pilot programs that just started. And I was so very proud of it. And I have to give props to Miss Evelyn Sanchez and Juliana Jarek, because those two really took on that role, that piece. So, but in addition to that, what I am so very proud of is that whole program was student-led.
Yeah, they did everything, right?
They did everything. And so they really took the reins and they ran with it. And that was so encouraging to see. Yeah. It's really cool.
I loved it. I would chat with you all night, but
Me too.
we have to wrap up, Linda. I'm really sorry, but we do have some rapid fire questions for you before you go.
All right, come on, let's have it.
21 and done, fast as you can.
Okay.
Just to get a little bit of information about you. Okay. What is your horoscope?
Aries.
Do you have a favorite singer, musician?
Oh gosh, Anita Baker.
Nice, very nice. Do you like to work out? Go to the gym?
Love to.
Mm-hmm. Are you a good cook?
Horrible cook. Hate to cook.
Yeah, I don't quite get the enjoyment of it. I like to eat, but
love to eat.
This is interesting. I guess it's not Spanish, but what was your best subject at school?
Dance.
Oh, fair enough. Kittens or puppies?
Puppies.
I'm gonna get that all the time, aren't I? Yeah. Are you good at saving money, or do you just spend it?
Ooh.
Bit of
I'm gonna
both.
put myself out there. I love to spend money.
I get it. What item can you not leave the house without?
Phone.
Is it okay to put pineapple on a pizza?
Are you kidding? No.
Do you go to the cinema alone?
Have done it, yes.
Yeah, I like to do that. What's your favorite Chicago neighborhood?
Pilsen.
I'm heading that way this evening.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first concert or gig that you went to?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's pretty classic.
Yeah.
What's your favorite holiday season?
Christmas.
Christmas?
It's a Christmas.
What language would you like to learn?
French.
It's a good one. What's your favorite place that you've visited?
Santander, Spain.
Nice. How do you relax after work?
Ride my bike.
That's good, and it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you be doing if you had not been a dancer and teacher? What's your alternative career?
I didn't have one. My alternative.
Lady of leisure?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I guess so.
Are you superstitious?
No.
No. Do you remember your dreams?
Yes, I do.
You do. Road trip or international travel?
Ooh, international travel.
Yes. And finally, what's for dinner tonight?
Pizza.
Sounds good. I'm having fish and chips.
Ah, yes, my
Yeah.
kind of guy.
Thank you so much, Linda. I really enjoyed
This
that.
was fun.
So this was really fun. I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at On Cue, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks, Linda. That was great.
It was fun.
That was fun.